had an agent who, while she knew she had a talent, didn't quite know how to harness it, because if left to my own devices, I go off and, do strange movies about British India or something like that. So she put me with a manager, a fellow named Kip Oman, and Kip brought me the short story of The Fly and said, Fox owns this. You have a relationship with Fox, which I did. I had developed a relationship with an executive over there, David Madden, one of the true gentlemen, still to this day one of the true gentlemen in the business. And I also knew Joe Mazan through, his wife had actually gotten me my agent. So it was all this arcane chain of events that had made this Fox connection. But anyway, Kip said, gave me the short story, said, this movie needs to be remade, and you're the guy to do it. You have a relationship over there.
Chuck Pogue came into my office and said that he had the idea of remaking The Fly, which I thought was a great idea, and we talked about it a bit.
I wasn't totally convinced I was the guy to do it, because science fiction really hadn't been my genre, although I kind of liked horror, and I guess this sort of crosses both worlds. But I read the story. I kind of liked the story. I thought it was an interesting story. And they showed me the film. It was the first time I'd ever seen the film.
Madame!
Yes? Yes, who is this?
Francois. I've killed my husband, Andre Delambre, about half an hour ago in the hydraulic press shed.
This egg is under the press.
This is the work of a madman.
Did your brother ever experiment with animals?
The first live experiment was disastrous.
No. Helene and Andre believed in the sacredness of life. They wouldn't harm anything.
Tomorrow you'll be the most famous cat in all the world. She disintegrated perfectly, but never reappeared.
Well, where's she gone?
Into space. A stream of cat atoms. It'd be funny if life weren't so sacred.
You're a strange man, Andre. Andre wants to show you something.
In the lab?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is it, flat screen?
It's better. Oh, dear. We won't see him for lunch.
I see what you mean.
Now, you let it go at once. You know how your father disapproves of you catching insects.
This isn't like any other fly I've ever seen. It has a funny white head and sort of white legs.
Now, you let it go at once.
Best fly I ever caught.
I transmitted myself successfully yesterday morning, but in a second experiment, a fly which I did not notice was in the disintegrator with me. When we integrated again, our atoms were mixed. Now my only hope is to find the fly.
I'll find that fly. It can't be far away.
I've got to go through the machine once more with it and pray our atoms untangle. If you can't find it, I'll have to destroy myself.
Oh, no. Oh, God. There are things man should never experiment with. Now I must destroy everything. All evidence. Even myself. I've thought of a way. It's not easy, but I need your help.
Why did he die?
Well, Philippe, he died because of his work. He was like an explorer in a wild country where no one had ever been before. He was searching for the truth. He almost found a great truth. But for one instant, he was careless.
That's what killed him?
Search for the truth is the most important work in the whole world and the most dangerous.
Well, come along, you two. I'll see you off.
And I thought, well, it's interesting. I mean, the problem with the film immediately that I saw was that you had a guy who, once he went through the transformer and became a fly, you had a passive hero. He had no facial expressions, no way to articulate or vocalize his thoughts or his distress. I mean, you had him just, scrawling things on a chalkboard. And so the story, by default, sort of shifts over to the wife, and it becomes about her descent into madness. And of course, that was sort of tough, given the fact that you had this woman in pearls and high heels, looking like Beaver Cleaver's mother, trying to go mad.
He put his head on his arm under the press. Why?
I cannot answer that question. Coffee, Inspector?
Mr. DeLombre, do you think she's mad?
It's obvious, isn't it?
They think I'm mad, don't they?
When did you first see that fly, Philippe?
The day Daddy went away. I had caught it, but Mummy made me let it go. And then later, she wanted me to find it again. She changed her mind. You know how women are.
Oddly enough, that screenplay of the original film by James Clavell follows the short story very closely. I mean, it is what it is. But again, you had this dicey science as well. Why does he go through and the fly get a little human head and he gets a big fly head? I mean, I didn't quite get all that.
Shut us.
There's the great story of Vincent Price and Herbert Marshall at the end with the little spiderweb scene. It was all they could do to keep from cracking up while they're trying to say their lines.
You've committed murder just as much as Helene did. You killed a fly with a human head. She killed a human with a fly head. If she murdered, so did you.
I know. Who's going to believe us? They'll think we're both mad.
I wasn't really interested in doing like a head-switching film, but if it was more of a metamorphosis, that was something that interested me because I thought that was a way to really, tell a longer story.
I think initially I had done an outline closer that adhered closer to the story, and we all knew that sort of wasn't going to work, and we had to sort of just rethink and refashion this thing out.
I had a deal at Fox at that point, and Fox had the rights to the film, so we went in and they basically said, "Fine, go, develop the film."
They did front the money for a screenplay. I went off and wrote a screenplay.
We turned it into the studio.
David Madden fostered it, and took it up to Joe Wazan.
And the studio did not want to go ahead with the film, and they also were not interested in giving me the rights to the film to see if I could set it up elsewhere. So I sort of pestered them, and finally I got them to agree to distribute the film if I was able to raise the money to make it. Now, the first person I went to help me with that was Mel Brooks.
Stewart was a young producer, sort of breaking out on his own. Stewart had brought The Elephant Man and David Lynch, I guess, to Mel Brooks.
So I told him, what the situation was, and I gave it to him like on a Friday, and then on the Monday, he just calls me up and he's like screaming, "This is garbage. This is horrible. This is stupid." I mean, and he's just railing against the thing.
I remember my first meeting with Mel Brooks, which was sort of fun because he kept talking about badinage. He kept referring to my dialogue as badinage.
But all of his concerns were sort of things that took place in the first 10 pages. So I said, just how far did you read? And he said, well, I just kind of finished. I said, look, finish the script, and if you don't want to do it, fine.
But it was a very amusing meeting. At one point, he said to me, "If I say it's wrong because I'm a genius and I'm always right."
So he finished the script, liked the script, said that he wanted to get involved. felt that that the script definitely needed work and wanted to bring another writer on.
When Stuart went back to Mel for money, there sort of became this, it's like the prodigal son returning, and there was this sort of, I don't know that you would call it a power struggle, but somehow because I was Stuart's boy, I suddenly disappeared, and then this director came on. There had been a rewrite by Waylon Green, I believe.
He did a draft. It had, it had some good things, but overall I thought it was kind of a step backwards. And during that time, I was trying to get a director on the film. I had sent the film to David Cronenberg. He was doing Total Recall. He wasn't available, but I had seen this short film, The Rocking Horse Winner, that this guy Robert Bierman had directed, and sort of got him to be. I asked him if he wanted to direct it. He was interested in directing it.
I was quite a new filmmaker, so I think when you're a new filmmaker, what you want to bring to a project is everything you've got, every single thing that you feel about making a film, about the project, the emotions. I think obviously why young filmmakers are picked is because they are so emotionally driven to making a project so personal and so important. So I think that's what I felt. I was just totally and utterly single-minded about making it the best movie ever made in the history of movies.
But I had actually been taken off the film before he came on, I believe. It's like...
we had gotten to the point where Chuck Pogue was back on the project and was going to be working with Robert Bierman. And Bierman was British. I'd gone to England. We had, talked to Chris Tucker, who had done the makeup for Elephant Man, and we were in the process of sort of early pre-production while we were working on the script. Bierman came to the U.S., had one meeting with Chuck Pogue, and everything to me was sort of, all right, great, things are like back on track. We've got the right writer and this director I'm really enthusiastic about.
Well, we'd broken for Christmas and we'd come back for Christmas. Actually, the studio head had been fired. There was a new studio head. Everything had changed at Fox over the Christmas period. And ours was the only film in production. Everything else had been stopped. And Mel was incredibly excited because everyone was focusing on this film. So we were really pushing ahead to start shooting as soon as we could.
And then I got this call at 5 o'clock in the morning from Robert Bierman, just telling me that something horrible had happened and that I should come to his hotel.
My family had gone to Southern Africa for a holiday, and I was in Los Angeles, and I got a call one day that my daughter had been killed in a tragic accident in South Africa. And that morning, I told Mel and Stu, I just got in a car, got on a plane, and flew to South Africa.
It's just one of those nightmares of, trying to get him on a plane and realizing that once he was on the plane, it was going to be 23 hours before he could get home. Anyway, whatever. So basically everything stopped, and we waited a month and then talked to Bierman.
I spent a long time down there, had to sort everything out, sort out my family. Went back to England, and Mel asked me, am I ready to come back on the film? And the thing was that I'd lost my desire to make the movie, and I just couldn't give him and Stuart the 100% commitment to the movie. And it was a purely emotional thing. I think that, I could have gone on to the movie and done an okay movie, but I didn't want to make an okay movie. I wanted to make the best movie. So Mel Brooks rang me and said, look, we'll wait 3 months. We'll hold the picture for you for 3 months. And he did, he stuck to his word. And after 3 months, I was still, I think the combination of the subject matter of the picture, because it's a very dark picture and it's a very emotionally driven picture. And what had happened, I still just couldn't commit to it. I just said to Mel, I said, I cannot make the picture for you the way I want to. And he was cool. He said, I totally understand. I want you to do it. But, you know, if you want out, then, you know, and I was under contract. So, you know, they could have forced me to do the picture, which they never would. So he just said, you know, do whatever you want to do. And so, you know, I left the picture then.
So we were in this in this bizarre situation of we had a flawed script, no director, a tainted kind of vibe on the movie because of this horrible tragedy, and certain business deals that had gone through because of the configuration of Brooks Films committing to get the movie, and then Fox saying they would do it. It was a horrible mess. I mean, a horrible, horrible mess.
We were meant to be doing Total Recall for Dino De Laurentiis, and at that time, my daughter was, I think, supposed to be starting in a school in junior kindergarten, and we didn't put her in because we thought we were going to be in Rome for 8 months. David went to Los Angeles to have a final meeting with Dino about Total Recall. Decided that he and Dino were trying to make a completely different picture, and he withdrew from the project.
Scott Rudin was an executive at Fox, and he said, what about Cronenberg? And I said, you know, Cronenberg was like my first choice, but he's not available. He's doing Total Recall. And Scott said, I think that's falling apart. He was kind of our one hope. And he had said that he was interested in rewriting the film and directing it. We called his agent and said, you know, how much, you know, what kind of money are you looking for? And he said he was looking for $750,000. And, you know, and so, you know, Mel and I are like, you know, all right, $750,000. We have to do this, or, you know, everything's just going to fall apart and it's simply going to be over. So Barry Diller was the head of the studio at that point, and Mel and Barry Diller had been involved in Elephant Man when he had been at Paramount. So Mel basically wrote him this letter saying, this could be an amazing film. This is, you know, it'll transcend the genre. It'll do this and that and the other. We have an opportunity to get arguably the premier director in this genre. We simply have to do it, and we can get him for $1 million. So, and it was just a beautiful letter, and you know, we had a very good relationship with Diller, and that's so the next day Diller's on the phone and he says, okay, fine, go ahead. So we're talking to David's agent and said, okay, we got your, you know, we understand you're asking for $750,000 and we would like to counter at $1 million. So fastest deal I've ever seen made in Hollywood.